think since we're so behind, Chairman, just start.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go ahead, sir, Chairman.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Zambia Blog Talk Radio TV, wherever you're watching us from. Good afternoon, Europe. Hello, Zambia. Good evening, the Western Pacific, Australia. I know you're getting ready to go to bed. It's January the 8th, and we're so delighted and glad that you chose to spend your weekend with us today. Joining us today, my two colleagues here, co-hosts, before we introduce our guests. From the north of the US, hello, Canada. How is
Canada is minus 24 degrees this morning.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. So there's nothing I can say about that.
Okay. Hi, Kasuluva. How's Lusaka this afternoon?
Lusaka is great. It's been raining. Yeah, it's good. The weather is cool.
Excellent, excellent. All right, our guests today, I would say they are not strangers to this show. They've both featured on this platform before. However, it was when we used to do the call-in on the phone. We're so delighted to have Ms. Chisoma Lombe. She is the founder and proprietor at Chizo Designs. Good afternoon, Ms. Chisoma. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me once again.
Yes, welcome. And I believe my relative from Chinsali, Ms. Chola Chilofia Lungu, who is also the proprietor of Poleka Designs. I like that name, Poleka. Hi, Chola. Welcome to the show. Happy New Year.
Hello, Happy New Year. And it's good to be back. I think I haven't featured in a long time, so it feels like coming back home.
Yeah, nothing, no malice there. It was just things just happen. We get so busy. The reason the two ladies are joining us today is this project, this idea, this concept of my Zambia, my responsibility. I know they talk about this on various platforms. Ms. Lombe has been here to talk about this before. But I was thinking about this, Chola and Lombe. I said to myself, repetition, repeating something constantly. You remember when we were all growing up, Roger, our parents kept saying, like, if you don't do that, the idea is to ensure that you get the message. I do not wish, and I don't hope my Zambia, my responsibility to be one of those things which we just talk about once and it gets lost in translation. And progress has been made. We need to keep talking about this. Chisoma, let me start with you. Someone is listening and watching this for the first time. And they are saying, oh, okay, what is my Zambia, my responsibility about? Never heard of this before. What is my Zambia, my responsibility? And how did the formation and the concept and the whole idea come about?
Well, my Zambia, my responsibility is actually a movement. And from the last time actually I was on this platform, there's a lot that has happened actually. We clocked a year last month.
Oh, wow.
So it's actually been in existence legally for a year. But it was a movement that was started a while back. And the idea behind my Zambia, my responsibility is in us Zambians realizing that actually this country, we were doing so much complaining and propaganda actually against our own country. And then we realized, wait a minute, so if we talk against our country and we're pointing fingers at everybody else, who then is responsible for this country? So then we realized, myself included, that Zambia is actually the responsibility of every single Zambian. No matter what your role is, no one person is not more responsible for this country than I am. So what is my responsibility? And until we get that into our minds, we will not change the nation and the economy of the nation. So that's the reason. That's the idea behind this movement and concept. And we've had a lot of events that Chola will talk about that would then lead to us changing the mindset of rather than having the entitlement mentality that we had. So taking responsibility for the nation in the small ways and the big ways.
after 1 year, Chola, what sort of projects has My Zambia, My Responsibility embarked on?
Initially, I got pulled into the program because I think a lot of the stuff I did even as a volunteer was around national pride and unity and just feeling a bit more Zambian. And me being a creative, and so is Chisoma, we had 101 ideas initially, and we really had to streamline things and focus. So after 1 year, we can say successfully we have done, and we're still doing 5 main projects. The first one is a trade center, which Chisoma will speak about because that's where her energies and her passion is. The economy, yes. I think I'm a more people person, more feelings and emotions of national pride. But Chisoma is a hardcore economist and accountant here, so that's Chisoma's baby. We've had a Keeper in School campaign where we had a GoFundMe, and this was targeted at making sure 5,000 girls do not miss exams because yes. we were able to raise money to buy sanitary towels. This was supposed to be a short one, but then we got more people interested, which was a good thing. And we got more funding to even buy more accessories for girls around menstrual hygiene. This includes underwear. The third one is a young men's mentorship program, which, you know, before even My Zambia, My Responsibility, I was running with Africa Directions, who agreed, it's a community center, who agreed to bring this project on board. And this is a project where we've been mentoring young men in Mtendere. It started off just in Mtendere, but has been growing. In fact, the last one we had last month was at Harvest University with Honorable Minister of Tourism, where he came and spoke. And the main topic there was alcohol and drug abuse, which is a huge problem with our youth here, not just the boys, but the girls as well. Then we started and we're currently running, it's a documentary, and it's called Tiende Pamozi. And we partnered with the Women's Museum and Latitude. So what we did is we went 100 years back in Zambian fashion. We went north, south, east, west, and we had a present. Yes, and Zanako. So we went to the northern, southern, eastern, and western part of Zambia and looked at fashion, hair, accessories, and lifestyles. And we also trained 15 designers. And so they came to the workshop and they were able to create their own collections based on what they, the inspiration they got. They're currently still working on the outfits, although we've been following them and filming them. So 8 outfits are from the presentation. Then we have the Zambian flag, which, is obvious. We have to have one big outfit with the flag. But then the 10th outfit is really around climate change and the environment. So they have to create an outfit that speaks to climate change and how they view that. The other program we run is it's a youth life skills and empowerment program. And with this one, we worked with USAID Youth Lead, and again with Zanako and Africa Directions as well. And in the end, also with Harvest University. So this one is mostly entrepreneurship skills that we're passing on. Also, a huge part was national pride, just to make our youth understand. Most of them in that group have finished grade 12, and they all have an NRC, because that's the one qualification is that they must have an NRC and feel very Zambian. So our target is 100 youth in each province. In Lusaka, we did 130, but then because of COVID, we had to stop. And we need to see this. We're now in the 4th wave. So after this, then we'll be able to continue. Have I done all 5, Chisoma? Yes.
So there's Keeper in School, there's youth mentorship, there's Tiende Pamozi, then there's yes, I think you've done all. Then there's
ZTC. So you can now talk about how the Trade Center came about.
Okay. So I think the Trade Center, we had as My Zambia, My Responsibility, and I'll talk from a personal point of view, and that is what I'm actually focusing on right now. Chola is focusing more on My Zambia, My Responsibility and all the projects that she's talked about. So my focus has now shifted to the baby that was created from My Zambia, My Responsibility, which is the Zambezi Trade Center. It was launched on November 17th. by the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry. We had it was a very high level kind of launch.
Yes.
So the way it started, we held a convention on the 25th of May, Africa Freedom Day. Yes, we held a launch, a very high level launch where we had CEOs from organizations.
Okay.
That actually deal in MSME. And I'll give you a background of why we had that meeting. Well, I was on the board of ZDA.
Yes.
And there's a lot of gaps that I actually noticed while being on the board of ZDA, because the history is that I'm a fashion designer, as you've introduced me. So when I retired, I followed my passion. So then I became an entrepreneur who was very successful socially, but economically very poor. Because of the certain aspects that are not existent in the economy. So when I was then appointed on the board of ZDA, I noticed that for me, I was going there to actually deal with them and how they haven't managed to really empower the MSMEs and enterprises, the small enterprises in Zambia, because I felt it and I experienced it with all the qualifications that I had. So then what I noticed when I went to ZDA, which is the government arm that is responsible for the development agenda of the country, Zambia Development Agency, is that so when I went there trying to deal with them to see why haven't they done this and that, I discovered that the responsibility of the government can only go so far. So as much as the government are responsible even to create jobs, the government don't have the ability to create jobs. You know that, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's why I don't believe. That's why I don't. Sorry to cut you short. That's why I don't believe in the slogan "Bali will fix it."
Yes. No, that one cannot work. So the government can only go so far, and they can only go so far in that they can only provide an enabling environment. So ZDA then could only take people to trade missions. ZDA could build capacity with MSMEs, but ZDA cannot force people to go the extra mile. So they'll feed you with what they can, take you to all these international trade missions, and hope that you will actually pick up and move from there. Okay. So there were so many, like one of the trade missions that happened 2 months ago to Congo. We have a whole list of MSMEs that were given orders in Congo, but they're not able to deliver. So we actually established that there's a gap in the society, and the society is, and the gap is that there's need for support to a lot of MSMEs to move them from one level to the next. There has to be a system in place. There has to be a place where even a marketeer is able, a market, in other words, there has to be a market where even a small scale farmer should be able to grow enough to be able to sell. So you have, in essence, a lot of farmers that have grown their crop, but they don't have where to sell the crop.
You see, that's the challenge that we are facing. And I know we have jumped the gun here and gone ahead of ourselves, but that's the nature of interviews or discussions. The point that I was going to bring out here is, Roger, maybe let's do this. Can we play that video where she's talking? Let's play the video here, which the FBI caught Ms. Chisoma speaking at some private function.
Which video is this?
What if the best ideas to improve the livelihood of our women and men in the informal sector are actually with you, Zambians in the informal sector? What if the best innovations and ideas on how to improve our agricultural sector are with you, the Zambian farmer? What if solutions to creating jobs for the youth are actually with you, the youth, who are, for instance, washing cars on the streets of Zambia? What if the solutions to a better education sector are with you, the Zambian teachers and lecturers in our various institutions of learning? What if you, the ordinary people of Zambia, are sitting with some of the best ideas and solutions to Zambia's challenges? By the way, who told you that only politicians should offer solutions to the challenges of this nation. Let me put it like this. Today, I submit to you that our politicians do not have all the answers to our challenges as a nation. This goes for both politicians in the ruling party and politicians in the opposition. No, they don't have all the solutions. It's about time you and I began to do our bit for the well-being of our country.
Yes, the reason I played that clip, Mr. Soma,
Yes.
first of all, let me clarify the statement I made before I get stoned by UPND people that I don't believe in the phrase Bali will fix it.
Okay.
I have rephrased that thing of Bali will fix it to Bali will facilitate for us to fix it. He will not do it, but no one individual can solve Zambia's problems. So, very powerful statements you make there. The farmer has the solution themselves, the youths, and you went on to say who wash cars in the street have the solutions themselves. The educators have the solutions themselves. In this My Zambia, My Responsibility presentation, which Chola does, she speaks about the individual, the community, and national. And I think when you make those categorizations, you are basically addressing these three principles of My Zambia, My Responsibility. What would you say? And I would like the two of you to respond to this. Where are we after 1 year of My Zambia, My Responsibility and 4 or 5 months of UPN government? I'm not trying to politicize this. It's just a reality. Where are we as far as the youth realizing they have the answers themselves?
Should
So,
I go first or to someone's go?
Yeah, okay, no, you go first, John. So, like, you
Okay,
go first, the youth are your babies, yeah.
I think there's still a lot of work to do in changing youth mindset. There's a huge sense of entitlement here, as in, Boma Yanganepo, Bali will fix it. What about you? What can you do to help yourself move the next level? It's, you know, even the projects that I've been doing with youth since 2014, there's a huge sense of entitlement, and a lot of mindsets need to be changed about what people think of themselves and their own abilities and their role in what's happening in the country. We usually we wait for handouts. We want to be paid to sit in a training where you're getting empowered, but you want to be paid for it. So I think the new government still has a lot of work to do, and they need to start with the mindsets of where the youth are. We had a lot of cadres who were entitled to people's money that they hadn't worked for. What are we going to do to those people just sitting? They were cadres for 10 years and that's all they know. What will we do to that group of people? So I think there's a lot of work to do. As for My Zambia, My Responsibility, in the 1 year, I think has been a lot of learning for Chisoma and I. There's a lot of youth we've worked with, either in low income, high income, all kinds of youth in fashion shows, the creatives, the musicians. We've worked with all these people. And again, I think there's an urgent need to bring in some national pride and a sense of unity. We were really put in groups of, okay, yeah, the youth, yeah, the adults were ruling, yeah, non-ruling, yeah, this tribe or that tribe. So, and I think the idea of even the Tienda Pamozi documentary, as much as it's using fashion and the lighter, you know, maybe it's not so light, but that space is, I think there's an urgent need before we can address the youth as one body to bring them on one page and say, who are you? Are we Zambians? Where are we going? That's my 5 cents.
Yeah. So you see, and that's why you see, as My Zambia, My Responsibility, we decided to say we you know, there's a lot of talking that has been happening in the country without any action. So the talking, so when it comes to the talking and trying to change their mindsets and trying to encourage people, we decided to have a certain program that Chola has outlined in helping changing the mindset. So we said we cannot just help change the mindset. What about the solution? So the trade center is then the solution to that thing that we're talking about. Okay. So that's why we've decided to split. Chola focuses on the change of mindset in whatever form. We're doing it in whatever form. Yes. And then with the trade center, it's the practical side of things.
Okay.
So because the trade center is coming to fill a very huge gap. In fact, this gap is the solution that the country has been waiting for a very long time. And I will just go quickly back into time. In the times of the first regime, Kaunda, who set up industries in every province using a Japanese concept. There was an industry in every province. So because there was an industry in every province, there was Kawambwa tea, there was Muninunga canneries, there was all these. So because of that, there was an industry in itself is a market for the people. So they grow as much as possible and take to this industry, okay? So when the second regime came, they came and removed all these industries and liquidated them and sold them. So what happened is the market suddenly disappears. Imagine a country, you look at a country and it's stripped of its industries. So people who are farming are like, oh, where do we now take the produce? Okay, the market is gone. The market was the industry itself.
Yeah.
So now we didn't realize as a country that in itself was actually death to the whole country. So when we even talk about the ratification of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, when it comes to industrialization, Zambia should have been #1 in the whole continent of Africa because we're ahead of everybody else. But we should have realized that what we had before was removed. And then you have the government just working so hard to provide an enabling environment. We have farmers who are working so hard, but there's a gap. The gap is the market. So where do we take this produce? So as much as we're providing an enabling environment, where do we meet? So the trade center has come in then, because as a trade center, we've partnered with Zambia Cooperative Federation, who have warehouses in every province. So what we're then saying is we're going to gather all the products that people are farming, and then add value and then export. Because as you know, we've only done 6% export in the 7th National Development Plan, and we're now coming to the 8th National Development Plan. So the agenda of the Zambezi Trade Center is to say that we did this much export. This is the target that we have in the 8th National Development Plan. Remember that there are so many, when we held the convention as Zambia, My Zambia, My Responsibility, we called in heads of industries for organizations that actually give capacity to a lot of MSMEs. So they have databases. So we came together to ask them, so you people with all these databases of MSMEs who are even export ready, why haven't we done enough export as a country? So we then came upon the concept of the trade center, because we said it is only when we work together as a country that we're going to have the impact that we require. So we're working with so many. We've partnered with ZDAs, we've partnered with the Zambia Association of Manufacturers, Zaki, we had Zaki, we even DHL with Zambia Cooperative Federation who have cooperatives. Because if we are going to make any impact as a country, we have to have one basket that we're all pouring into, so that we actually see the amount of export that we're going to do in the 8th National Development Plan.
Okay. Roger Kasuluba, you are the youth here. So where do there's so much to talk about. Yeah,
and I like the energy. The two are bringing I followed your argument, Mr. Somahir. So here you are in Congo. Orders people can't fulfill. A lot of orders, and people can't fulfill them.
Yes.
And we also have SMEs who can't find the market.
Yes.
So I'm trying to reconcile those two. What really was the problem? Madam Chola here has talked about the cadres. It reminds me of the war in Iraq. The Americans bombed Iraq, and they thought the other soldiers for Saddam, they just disappeared in thin air. It doesn't happen like that. So even our cadres, they are somewhere, they are fidgeting. My question to Vachola will be, CDF is money which has been brought to the constituency. how are you fighting to get that peace to address the issue of cadres? Because it's very, very critical. So those are my two. Those are my two questions.
Okay, I'll just answer my question of where we're saying there's no market, and then we're also saying there's orders that are coming in. For instance, and I'll give you one example. There's actually be a complaint around our neighboring countries, even South Africa, where there have been people who've wanted a certain quantity of product. You know, when you're exporting, it's not small quantities. They're not going to go to one little farmer. They want a country that's organized, that is able to gather from all the farmers.
Yes.
Okay. And then give them the quantity.
Yes.
I mean, there's so much beans in every corner. Okay. There's a man who's given us an order of beans, 100 metric tons per, I don't know how often. For a long time, we failed to deliver as a country. Why? Because there has never been a mechanism in the country that is able to gather and be able to export. Okay. So with the Zambezi Trade Center, we have a system where we're working with Bureau of Standards. We have all these quasi-government institutions that are regulating the ZRA. So it is a one-stop shop where a farmer doesn't have to start worrying about getting an export permit. Okay. So you have a little farmer who has a product. Okay. So they can't even afford to get an export permit. They don't even know that they need an export. So what we're doing now is we're cutting all those. We're cutting the transportation aspect. We're cutting all those aspects. So we're saying we are going to handle all those logistical hurdles, and we're going to export as a country rather than as individuals. So as much as there have been so many orders that have come into the country, a lot of countries would rather even go to South Africa than come to Zambia because we have not had the capacity. So that is what we're trying to close.
Oh yeah, it needs our support, definitely. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Kasuluba?
Yeah.
No, the question for Ms. Chola.
Oh, okay.
When it comes to cadres, it's not a problem that was created overnight.
No.
So it's not something that you can fix overnight. And it's, as to borrow Soma's word, high level. It's one of those problems that needs everyone's participation. It's not something an organization can sort out. This has to be done at national level because it's a national problem. Even those of you who are not in Zambia, you feel it. You're angry about it. You're worried about it because, like you said, what's going to happen to a young man sitting who has been collecting money from marketeers for the last 10 years? He's now 25. That's all he knows. He's very aggressive. He's very passionate. He's very angry. How do we redirect all that energy? We will need so many parties to come in to manage and mentor these young men, because I think there's a lot of assumptions that all boys grow into good men. But there's a huge mentorship program that we have to do at national level to manage these angry men and women. They're women cadres as well. And I think the new government and the Ministry of Youth must take this very seriously. And actually, instead of just having funding for entrepreneurship, not everyone is an entrepreneur. Who's going to run the banks? Who's going to run the shops and the factories? Someone has to be in an office behind a desk, and they can do it very well. It's not everyone who you can give 5,000 and they can spin it. But I think there has to be a deliberate move at a very high level to address the cadre problem, because these are the thieves that have started breaking into cars, into homes, and we're seeing it. Those of us that are here are seeing these petty crimes, and they're increasing. So I think as my responsibility, the little that we're already doing is working with community centers in Tendere, and the last one where we've started now working with Harvest University. So those are young men at very different levels, but sometimes their problems are very similar as well.
Yeah.
But I'll be very, very honest and say we will need help as an organization, as a country.
That's all to add on to what Chola said. I think you talked about the CDF. We've actually been approached by when it comes to the CDF, and I think we've been approached by a number of MPs who've actually got cooperatives, and one of the MPs actually approached us and said, "Listen, we are going to grow 400 hectares of sugar beans. Sugar beans is actually on demand globally because that's what you use for baked beans. Yes, so there's a huge demand for that. So they've actually planted 400 hectares of sugar beans using the youth. and using the CDF fund and hoping to help the youth in that direction. So now you have the youth who are working in this group, and then we have already agreed to offtake that as Zambezi Trade Center.
Wonderful.
And then export it. Yeah. So that is one of the routes that we're going to use for the CDF. So rather than giving handouts, I think that's a direction that the country needs to go. Yeah.
Wonderful. I just want to add one more, I think, to Bachola's submission. Just today, I think my mind has flipped. When you hear the word kada in Zambia, I think it has almost become like a curse word. But these are our children. Yeah, and we need to take responsibility for them. Kada was a culture which was people couldn't provide employment for them, and we created that problem. So I 100% agree they need our support. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your,
First of all, I would like to say this is an agenda that we really need to push. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. You're doing a commendable job. Being a youth, my question is, what do you think is the major problem that youths have in Zambia? Because talking about my Zambia, my responsibility, it's about every individual owning up and saying, we are the change that we want to see. But then the major drivers are actually supposed to be the energetic youths, yet they are the ones that seem to take a lean back. So what do you think is the major problem? Is it that we, the youths, are always looking up to the government to do things for us? Why aren't we coming on board?
You answer that. You're the youth. You're not supposed to answer that. What's the problem with you?
Lelo.
I think, Chisoma is the disciplinarian in this field. Okay. Tough love. You know what? I think when we talk about enabling environments, I think a place hasn't been created for youth to thrive and to all leadership. How old did people stay in government? How long are people? How often do we really reshuffle politicians? So I think there have been no deliberate moves to mentor and to grow the next leaders of Zambia. I think you kind of just fall into politics. I mean, if some people jump in at 40, at 50, and I think you should have been mentoring them from much earlier to take over. You just, people just get angry and say, okay, vote for me, and they're voted for. But you have to start molding and mentoring these people when they're much younger. And I think even they should be aggressive enough to take their space as well, because they're also waiting. Everyone's waiting for somebody to do it, but nobody's doing it. So then those who've been in power stay in power. Some of the major problems our youth are going through right now, and it's huge, both girls and boys, is alcohol and drugs. All kinds of drugs you can find here. Chainama now has a ward, I think, called Junta ward. And these are even middle-class children, and middle-class parents do not want to have the conversations about their children. Just even 2 days ago, people always call trying to get, you can ask trying to get their sons, their brothers, their nephews into the young men's mentorship program. We don't even have the capacity to take in anyone, and we don't charge. So it's also becomes a funding issue. But when you sit and talk to these young, and I think my passion, I think, has really gone to men, because for us women, when growing up, our aunties talk to us, our mothers, we talk to each other, but we've made a lot of assumptions about young men and how they assimilate information, how they process it. He's just a boy. You tell him, okay, don't talk to girls. Next thing you're saying, okay, when are you getting married? We don't prepare them, first of all, even to run a home, let alone now run a country. So we're not doing a very good job at preparing these people
to
say
run that again.
That's
so when this guy gets married, all he's been told is stay away from girls. Now he's like, okay, when are you getting married? His responsibility is just thrown at him. But for us women, I think from the time you're a girl, everything from your physical development to your mental to your education, someone kind of carries you and nurtures you through the process. But unfortunately, with all the young men Chisoma and I have been meeting the last couple of years, there's really no communication, and we can't really blame their parents, because their fathers, because it didn't happen to them, so they don't even know how to pass on that information. So again, there has to be deliberate moves now before we completely lost to help our youth, and a special quote unquote to our young men, because we need some order and direction.
Story of my life, yeah.
Yeah, are you one of the lost ones?
especially where you're saying, you know, growing up, yeah, high school and whatever, maybe first year of university. No. Just you're going to study. Girls would distract you, whatever. When you're done now, earning an income, everybody's now looking at you. They're like, okay, why aren't you introducing us? But I thought I'm not supposed to.
Away from them.
No, it's very true. And one of the sad things also is how women are presented to you, because you have a lot of influence from music videos to how you see women. So in some of these sessions, you sit and the only respect that the young men have are for their mothers and their sisters. Beyond that, that's why GBV, I mean, just 2 months ago, my Zambia responsibility was asked to be part of a GBV program with Harvest University, and there is GBV among our youth. So boyfriends are hitting girlfriends, girlfriends are hitting boyfriends. We don't even know where they're getting this from, that you can actually abuse each other at 16, at 17. They're getting violent physically and abuse, and what do you say, verbally abusive. So we do have, I believe it's a crisis.
Yeah, it is. So GBV, you're talking about gender-based violence, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So there was even a case when I was there, a girl with bruised arms, and her boyfriend was hitting her, and somehow they think this is cool because you can post it somewhere and brag about he loves me, and this is, I don't know how that becomes.
Isn't that the philosophy? What a bunch of nonsense. Let's zero into the Zambezi Trade Center, and then I think we shall end with the youth mentorship programs. And I like this Keep Her in School campaign. Miss Lombe, my uncle in Kashkishi is growing cassava. And number one, is he aware that it's okay now for him to sell his cassava across Congo without being afraid of being shot at the border? Number two, how does he get engaged or involved with Zambezi Trade Center?
Okay, so Zambezi Trade Center was launched a month ago, and we're actually just setting up and settling down in terms of our strategy, our partners, our financiers, and all that. So for 2022, we already have off-takers for three products. So one of the products is beans, because we have an off-taker already. And the other product is soybeans, because we have an off-taker. And the reason we have an off-taker with soybeans is because we've taken into the market a product by a company called Zbtr, which is FDA, which has an FDA license. So we've brought this product into the US market actually. So because of that demand of bringing it into the US market, we needed to support them in the supply of soybeans. So that's why we have an off-taker who we're working with right now. And then there's also the third product that we're working on in 2022 is manganese. Manganese, because a month and a half ago, we went with the president to Congo, where there was a conference on battery making. So a number of presidents came together, and we're trying to start making batteries as a continent, especially Congo and Zambia and Rwanda, because this is where the ingredient, what do they call them? The raw materials are found. So Asia imports from Congo and Zambia manganese and all that, and then they make batteries. Then they come and sell to us. So the agenda is to come together as African countries to start making the batteries, or even just supplying each other with the raw materials. So one of the products that we were we located as to supply Zambezi Trade Center is to aggregate manganese and to add some value and then sell it. So that's one of the products that we're also working on for 2022, and probably the first half of 2022. So, but there are 5 products that we're going to focus on, which is cassava itself, groundnuts, soybeans, cotton, and
manganese.
No, for the crops. For the
crop. Those soya beans and sugar beans.
Yeah, so I didn't say beans, right? Yeah, so five of those products, because those are the 5 products that are on demand globally.
Okay.
So, but when it comes to minerals, we're going to deal with a number of minerals. But right now we have off-takers when it comes to manganese. So that one we've already started working on it. We have warehouses and we are affiliated. We're actually, because of what we believe in as my Zambia, my responsibility in working with other organizations, we have partnered and have MOUs with organizations that are already working in the rural areas with farmers. So these organizations have databases of farmers.
Okay.
And then so we tap into that. So they focus on the groundwork. We focus on then the aggregating the quality product that they have.
What about the fruits?
What about
fruits?
Pineapples.
Mangoes,
Pineapple.
tomatoes, and avocados.
So we actually
pineapples.
So one of the members on our group is actually working on. We've sent some samples of mangoes to the US. So we've already sent samples to some of the countries. So we are just working on feedback on that. So
Okay.
so with those, we're working on what we have feedback on for now.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, but
So
our
we
biggest
need-
market.
On the
Yeah.
youth takers, Chairman, you say youth takers. On manganese, you are using
Yes.
a very sophisticated word here. What is the word you are using? Off-takers.
Yes, so we have the small scale farmers.
Yeah.
We have the small scale farmers that we're working with because we have a warehousing facility in Senang. I confused the Sheke Senanga and okay, that one. The one in Central Province is which one again?
Selenge.
Serenge.
Serenge. That one.
Sheke Senanga Serenge.
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 That's my hometown, Serenge.
Oh, I see. So
Oh,
we have
wow.
okay. Yeah. So we have a warehousing facility, a huge warehousing facility in Serenge, actually.
Oh, wow.
And because that's what in that area, Mkushi, Serenge, Wapula province, that's where the deposits of manganese are actually.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So we're using the small scale miners there. So we're buying from them and then adding value and then giving to our off-taker.
Okay. So Zambezi Trade Center, how do people follow? How do people get engaged if they want to know what is going on? What are the platforms available? What do we do?
So we have, in fact, we're developing an e-commerce platform. It was supposed to go live when we actually launched last month.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're supposed to actually also have an e-commerce platform with Zambezi Trade Center. And on the e-commerce platform, we are affiliated to Zambia Association of Manufacturers, which has Zambian Association manufacturing companies affiliated. And then we're going to be selling all the Zambian made products on our e-commerce platform. So
Okay.
it will be a shop that will actually have the Zambian products. So if you in the US want to eat carpenter today, we'll be able to get carpenter to you in 4 days because we're in partnership also with one of the big courier companies that will be able to get carpenter to you. Yeah.
Okay.
I think one of the
Excellent.
other things that's happening is there's a lot of background admin work still going on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that when everything comes live, I think it would be nice to send everything out when all the platforms are ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Excellent. We shall.
Yeah.
Okay, let's end our discussion with keeping her in school campaign, young men's mentorship, youth mentorship in civic engagement and entrepreneurship. Chola, what is going on there? I don't know how you want to break this down.
Okay. Thank you for helping. So we have a calendar, we have partners, because I think one of our main roles, as Soma said, is partnerships, creating links and using our networks to move, because our team is quite small, but we really reach out to networks and already existing organizations to help us. So for January to March, what we're doing is still filming the Tiende Pamozi documentary. And this is still, yes, following the designers, and then finally having the fashion show. We're still interviewing people like chiefs, north, south, east, west, who talk about how fashion and their cultures and ceremonies and all those things have evolved over the last 100 years. So we're still in film, and as soon as this wave of COVID passes, we're going back to more filming, and we hope to screen the documentary by June. The Keeper in School campaign, we made a donation in December, and we promised the first quarter of this year we're going back. Again, we're still looking for more partners, because what came up was we're giving pads but no underwear, and a lot of the girls in the rural areas complain that you drop off these things and we don't have the necessary accessories for them. So Keeper in School campaign, again, before the first term ends, which already has been postponed because of COVID by 2 weeks. But in the background, we're still writing to partners and making sure we're able to deliver. And we're not doing this by ourselves. Actually, our target has been schools that have been recommended by Ministry of Education. So they tell us where the biggest needs are and where the other issues are. And a lot of people, just individuals from the US, or from everywhere, Zambians are able to send us money for sanitary towels. It was GoFundMe. I don't know if the GoFundMe campaign is still running, Soma, but we're still doing that.
Yes, it's still running.
Young men's mentorship. What has actually happened is, gosh, we need help. One thing that is definitely, every time we have a session, we realize the need is huge. It's not just the boys in Tendere, it's not just the boys in Kablonga, it's right across. So the conversations have really been going around, starting actually adopting some mentors who will help us with this thing, because we've been calling different people like Dr. Mjajati, Costa from Diamond TV, Ms. Kapwepwe, just to come in and talk to them. But we need something solid. We need a stronger mentorship body of people who we've trained. So
what is going on there? What is really going on there with the young men's mentorship? What are the issues? I don't know if you're able to get into that. What are the issues? What needs to be done?
We need to have conversations. The main thing that has come out in all the sessions, whether we're addressing alcohol, whether addressing their bodies, whether we're addressing careers or advocacy, they're all just saying no one's talking to us. But I believe as a Christian nation, we need to bring even Christ into this and have a document. When you're a Christian and you have a problem, you go into your Bible. But I believe we need a document that the mentors will use as we spread. So we first have to train the mentors. What we realized is we need mentors who are agreeing on one module or one document and saying, when we go out, this is. So what we need to invest in, the money we need now is to bring these documents together as Christians, as career people, as experienced men, as men who've made mistakes. We need to speak as one voice, and then we can go out again. Because I think what we've done the last 5-6 years is collect information and listen and understand what are the issues that these boys have. So that's where we are. Is by March we're looking to meet people who have an influence, people who have a voice and the expertise to be able to put this document together, and then create with people like you to be on our mentorship team. So you'll be the men that will have to now start.
Count me in, whatever you want me to do.
Thank you. We just need to attach
some as well.
You're a paying member. You have to pay. But we have to start speaking, and it's not too late. We can save a lot of other people, because some of these guys, it's just one session and they come back and they've turned around because they heard just one sentence. They were able to do something else.
So here's what, sorry to cut you short. Here is what I'm contending with, Chola, Chisoma, okay? Here, not Tulanda, we are able to say, what's the keeper in school, sanitary pads, underwears. We are able to say that about the girls, the women. So let me say this: why aren't we just addressing things with the men or the boys as they are supposed to?
Because we don't have the platforms here to speak to them. When do Zambian men or young boys have a space to speak or to converse or be mentored? It doesn't. There's no room. For us women, it's a natural thing. From birth, someone's always speaking in your ear, stopping you and warning you. But for the boys, you know what I mean? Like, we have these expectations of become a man. But you're not talking to him. How is he supposed to do? He doesn't know how to love a woman. He doesn't know how to forgive. He doesn't know what faithfulness means. More, he must show himself. So nobody is guiding them. For me, I see it's just a space. There's a vacuum.
And I think
go on, Soma.
And just to add on to what Chola is saying, I think for a while now, a number of years, there's so many programs that support girls. There's all this thing about female this, women this. So what we also noticed is that a lot of boys are remaining behind.
Yeah.
You know, like they became timid because, to be honest with you, a girl is much stronger and more tenacious than a boy child. So as much as in a while back, the boy was leading and was more supported, the past few years the boy has been ignored, you know, and they seem to just be being rebellious. A lot of boys have become rebellious, while the girl is so mature too early in life. So that's why we're trying to now come in and trying to close the gap. So there are so many women's programs, girls programs, but not many boys programs. So that's why Chola really emphasizes on bringing the boys along.
And I think, Kasuluba, I want you to comment on this. What would you like to see in this aspect of everything? I need to throw you in this thing, because when you ask the question, what is this? What should you do? So Kasuluba, what would you have loved to see, or you would like to see? Number two, everybody watching and listening from wherever you are, Europe, US, Zambia, Tamba, I think as men, Roger, we should feel very challenged. If I say it in Bemba, it's a different thing. It will mean for a ladies like Chola and Chisoma to stand up to this, and we are sitting in the comforts of wherever we are. No, Chola, I'm not going to let that happen. Count me in. So, Kasuluba, what would you like to have seen, and what would you like to see happen? You send me pictures of your friends hanging out, gym, and doing all those things. What are you talking about, and what would you like to see?
I think Uncle Nathan, thank you so much. Youths need to be supported in that. I like the fact that now things like creativity, entrepreneurship are being more embraced. Previously, what used to be the challenge was that it's all about, okay, pursue this career path, and I'll also dwell so much on the boy child, the boy youth. So there's a pre-planned path for you. Okay, so if you're going to go to school, you're going to do this, do that. So pursue this career, whether it's in engineering and all that, because you already have a responsibility. You have a man. You need to come and take care of your younger siblings. Okay, so meaning that if you would want to pursue anything that's a bit different, it will become a challenge. Because if you're in a business, go and work so that you have a salary, so that because you have this responsibility, okay? So then now that's been the challenge. But if we're going to be given platforms to say, you can excel in this, you can pursue business, it's fine, take your time. There's going to be mentors, it's going to be people that are going to help you. If you would want to be in the office, that's also okay. You would need to be mentored to say, okay, even though you're sitting behind your desk, it's not just about that one salary. You need to see how you can diversify and multiply, you see? So I feel that is what we need. Because if the boy child is just being told, do this, do that, when they don't really love it, it also breeds rebellion. That's why you're going to see this bright mind just abusing alcohol and drugs. Yeah.
Okay. Auntie Chola.
I really agree, because what he's saying is things I hear in all these sessions. They just, nobody, they say they're spoken to when they're being shouted at or being sent, or there's just no communication, or when they're being asked, so what's next? What are you going to do? But they don't feel their hand has been held. They're also children, just as much as a girl is a child. They don't feel like their hand is being held as tight and as well as the girl child is. So there has to be, again, some intervention to start speaking and start mentoring and making sure our boys become men who can run homes, because we're preparing women for this amazing man who doesn't exist, because he comes in and he's shocked all these expectations. He comes in.
You see the laugh on Roger's face, Machisoma.
Why is he laughing?
Can he explain himself? I'll come in as the one. Chola and I always are on two sides when it comes to tough love. Because the way I see it is, I think if you look at a lot of, when we started a program called My Zambia, My Responsibility on Diamond TV that I was co-hosting with Costa. And the reason we started that program is to try and interview people who have come from the worst kind of environment and background, but who made a decision to make it in life. Okay.
Wow.
And we have a lot of young men who have an excuse. Okay, who will say, like what Kasuluba said, who will say, no, they don't want me to do this, therefore I'm going to do drugs. For me, I'm going to knock your head. I don't have time to start pleading. I don't get it. You know what I mean? Because we cannot be stroking these people. We can't. That's why we brought examples of people who you make a decision. You man up. You make a decision that this is what I'm going to do. So when it comes to a career path, if you are my son, Kasolova, and you tell me, no, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be doing this, I'm going to tell you, yes, you can be an entrepreneur, but you have to have an education.
Yes.
Where the youth go wrong is where they think I can be an entrepreneur and not have an education. It's not possible. Because this is a global market. It's a global world. It's competitive. Where will you go? How far will you go? Where will you get the knowledge and wisdom to even go anywhere? Unless you're just going to be servicing your grandmother and you sell fritters and be selling to your grandmother and your grandfather. That's not what I want in a son. No. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, go and get a degree and do a business course, which will then help you with where you're trying to go. So that is the encouragement. Even as a designer, a fashion designer, I retired. I have ACCA to follow my passion in fashion. But I went and did my master's after that. Did I need it? I don't think so. But why did I do it? It's because this is a global world. If I'm going to stand on any platform, I should be able to appeal to anyone in the world. That is why you get an education. So it's not either or. No, it's not. Such that if you don't get this, you have to now start taking drugs. No. That one, I can handle it.
Yeah.
I said, as I said, Chisoma gives the tough love, but I think we still need some structured pampering. Although me and Soma argue, so we can go on for another hour because Chisoma just
we shall do another show. We shall do another show.
Chisoma is brutal love. I still want to hold someone's hand and have them.
Let me just throw in. I think you are all speaking, in my view, the same language. In my view, you are all speaking. When it comes especially to the youth, the high employment we have in Zambia, I think we've created generations of the youths who have not done anything, who have never worked.
Yeah.
Not sure we are going to blame the youths as their fault. It's been government not providing the environment that the youths can get a job. So we are going to have both. Cholazi Pampadi, so that we understand that as a society, we are the ones who have not created an environment. I'm in Canada here, where I am in Canada.
Can I just interrupt you a bit?
Yes.
Roger, do you know that Zambia compared to a lot of countries in Africa, has an enabling environment, the best enabling environment compared to a lot of countries.
I agree with you. I agree with
continent.
you. I agree.
It's unbelievable. Way above. Cream de la cream compared to other countries.
I agree with you. But I want to say is both. That's why both of you are correct in that we may have to realize that the enabling environment is there, but they want to pull the youth from the street to make sure they understand that there are opportunities A, B, C, D. It is and probably that is where the hard clap Mohammed Somas comes in. I say, hey, come on, wake up. Wake up.
Brutal love.
That's very true. Okay, people, everybody, there's no ZCCM to swallow those graduates from Evelyn Home, Nortec, and UNZA. So our minds need to move in a direction. Thank you, ladies. It's always an honor and a joy to have you. And we shall continue this conversation. Please consider as part of whatever you're doing, just text and say, hey, Nathan, we need this done.
Mentorship.
We are there.
Chairman, before you even close, I think to Mama Chola's my youth, my responsibility. Yes, engage a lot of us here in diaspora. There is a very huge, what do they call it here? They don't call it entrepreneurship, Chairman. Apprenticeship programs, where I think you two ladies are powerful enough. The company may not have money to pay a certain youth, but they have a job to give them. We find a member of diaspora here who will be willing maybe to pay just a fraction, not a full, but at least the youth will have some kind of experience. But Panto, a lot of these we are talking about, yes, we can put them from the street. What are they going to do? Bricklayer whose house? Or do electrical for who? But we need to start pairing. Who is the electrician? Can we pair you with this young youth? Can we find a member of diaspora who can supplement a small salary to that? So I think that way we'll be able to pull in a lot of, bricklayers, plumbers, car painting, whatever. So Zambia Block Talk Radio, you can count on us.
Yes, just to add on to that, in fact, I forgot to mention that. You see, when we're having these programs, for instance, we mentor about 30 youth at a time, right? 30, 40, about 40 per time. So what we actually require is not even much. It's just to give them money for lunch and transport refunds.
Exactly.
Which is like, I think the session is 10,000 kwacha, which is what, Chola? How
10,000. I don't know what's the dollar today.
10,000 kwacha will be about, let's say $700. $700.
So $700. So $700.
That's not much.
What you can help us with, especially those in the diaspora who can't physically be here, is to just help us raise those funds. And for us, and the reason why people actually choose to fund us is because we account for what we do. We actually use our own money for what we do.
I believe that. I believe that.
So, and one of the, and I'll give you an example of one, a Dutch lady who was on the board of Zanaco, who retired from the Zanaco board. And they saw that what we're doing, and we're transparent and accountable. So she was given 50,000 kwacha, a 50,000 check for her services for working on the board of Zanaco. And she gave it to us.
Wow, that's
because
good.
She saw the work that we're doing for the Keeper in School campaign. So, and when we started the GoFundMe account, there were more Americans, maybe 90%, hey, Chola?
Yes.
90% of the people were foreigners. They were not even Zambians.
Wow.
Okay, who really helped fund this Keeper in campaign through, and Pemba Moto is the one who helped us set it up. But look at the people who are coming to help. What about our own people? So for us, the appeal, especially to the help you can give us, is just to help us with the funds. It doesn't require so much funding. It doesn't. It's just the food and refund for the youth.
In fact, to your point, Vachisoma, I was actually, when I look at those pictures, like the event you had recently, Chola, where you remember I was talking, I sort of commented on the pictures. I was wondering who paid for all those young guys to have your T-shirt.
Oh, Anthony. Anthony paid. So Anthony paid for the food.
I pick those things, and I'm saying to myself, that's not free. There's nothing free.
No.
So who paid for all those kids?
You want all of them branded. The thing is, you want all of them dressed the same, because some of them will want to come dressed up with all the expensive labels, but we tell them, everybody come in jeans and you wear our T-shirt. Yes, because it also starts creating class and all those things. So Anthony paid for the T-shirts, and then an old, like we're saying, we use our networks. Asked an old friend who runs Diamond Equity. It's a property development company. So he paid for the food, and we had to give refunds to the speakers, and of course to pay, because the minister was coming, you have to give refunds to journalists. So as Chisoma was saying, it always adds up to the 10,000 kwacha and a bit extra. Otherwise, I beg Chisoma to pay for the photographer, and I ask, can you pay for? So it's every month. We try and do it every month, but it's always strenuous, and the budget is always the same.
This is what we are going to. Also, the budget is always the same. This is what we are going to do. Zbtr family, hear me. We are going to sponsor one of these events. We need to do that. We need to
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Nathan, I don't know if you remember how, do you know every person who has made it in life, always remember the person who motivated them. One person. They always say, no, when I was young, when I was whatever old, I attended this, and this woman said this and that.
Yeah.
And and I was just sorry, I know we're dragging this, and I'll give you an example. When we did the men's mentorship program, and we had 3 speakers. One of them was this singer, James Sakala. James Sakala, you know James Sakala, the singer?
Yes.
And Mark Chilongo, the executive director for Africa Directions. So these 2 and another person were called to speak to the youth. Now imagine when we called them, James Sakala stood up to speak to the youth, and he said, the person who actually changed my life is you, Mark, who I'm sitting with to talk to the youth.
Wow.
When I was in Chongo, I don't know where he was in Chongo, and he was a young boy. And he wanted to, and he had given up, because they used to sing, you know, those to my banjos on the streets when little boys are singing. That's how he started. And then he said, then I attended the conference, which was sponsored by USAID. And then I attended, I knew Mark was speaking to me. And Mark heard this. And Mark looks, and Mark, and James is one of Mark's biggest and most favorite musicians. Imagine.
Wow. Excellent.
He cried.
Wow.
He cried.
Wow, amazing.
I couldn't believe that he actually spoke to the person he thinks is so great.
There's no open forum today. Yeah, there's no open forum today. So when we end here, that's it for today. Next week, Kasulu, I believe the Africa Cup of Nations kicked off today, right? Is it today or tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
The Africa Cup of Nations kicks off tomorrow. Next week, we're looking for a guest to talk about that and things like that.
Okay.
And those of you in the diaspora, the Zambian Clergy Network International, we are having a virtual prayer meeting online. It will be live on our Facebook page, Zambian Clergy Network International, on my personal page and other people. So join us. By that time, we'll be having the prayer meeting. Chola and Chisoma will be asleep, so they can watch the recorded thing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Oh my goodness, Chisoma, I don't know how to thank you. Chola, my relative from Chinsali, who calls me once a year. Thank you so much, ladies, doing amazing things.
Thank you.
Count the Zbtr team to be part of what you're doing. Just text and say, Roger, today, next week, we are doing this, and we'll be there to stand with you, and we shall, of course, keep to our pledge.
My takeaway, Nathan,
they have a link right here in Zambia, the Zbtr link. I'm right here with you.
Yes.
From Zambezi Trade Center, Nathan, there is a lot of, I think, what I heard from there, Ms. Soma didn't tell us, talk about it, is I think a lot of us, there is room for us to invest into the SMEs they are working with. I hate that on my own. She didn't say that, but I hate it.
No, we have a program just on that, because I haven't even said a lot on it.
Yeah.
So
no, you'll be coming soon. That's why I apologized. I almost forgot you were there. So February, be ready. I think we'll be doing this again. Definitely.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you, Mama Chola, again.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thanks.
weekend. We will catch you
Thank you.
later next weekend on with.
Thank you, Uncle Nathan.
Thank you, Madam Chisoma, Madam Chola. It was great.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for coming through.
I'll get in touch. I'll get your contacts from
Please
Uncle
do.
Nathan. Yes, and
Okay.
I'll catch you on WhatsApp.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks.
Okay, I think we end there. The sound is not there.
Uncle Roger, have a great day.